Live welcome everybody for this live stream. Today we are going to do some reverse psychology. So I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I'm going to tell you what not to do. Yes, because here today we are going to cover the top 11 mistakes done by aspiring blockchain developers. So I will cover both career mistakes but also technical mistakes. I've seen blockchain developers doing this mistake over and over. They keep doing this for years, and after they wonder why they don't make any progress in their career. But it doesn't have to be this way, and today I will help you to avoid these mistakes that are just so common so that you can progress way faster in your career. So if you're new here, my name is Julian, and I've been in blockchain since 2017, so it's been a while. And on this channel, on Eat the Blocks, I help you to become a professional blockchain developer. If you are just starting in your career in blockchain, I recommend that you check out my blockchain developer roadmap. That's a free training that you can access at eattheblocks.com. I'm gonna put this in the chat. And basically, this free training is going to give you the full roadmap of what you need to learn to become a professional blockchain developer, what kind of opportunities there are in blockchain in 2024. There are many ways you can specialize in blockchain, so you're going to get all of this in this training. And also, I'm going to give you my method to find your first job in the space. So really, it's going to save you a lot of time. So go check it out. This is in the chat, eattheblocks.com/roadmap. Okay, so with this being said, let's get started with what I believe is the error number one, which is to focus on trading. So yeah, that is really the first mistake, So there are really two groups in crypto. First, there are people who, what I call the idealists. So people who really believe in the values of crypto. So people who really care about decentralization, privacy, that kind of thing, really the real vision of crypto. And then the other group is what I call the diligence. So people who just want to make quick money, okay? So this is a very simplistic description of the landscape. But in reality, it's a little bit more complex because people are never 100% one or the others. I used to think that there were those two groups, but now I understand actually we a little bit of both. You have like every range, of course. Some people who are more degen than idealists, but we tend to belong a little bit to those two groups. So a lot of blockchain dev, what happen is that initially when they first get into blockchain, it's because really, let's be honest, a lot of us, we are attracted by the crazy crypto prices, so we are thinking of making a lot of money. So that's how a lot of people get started. And after people start to, usually once they start to also believe in the value of crypto, etc. But the problem is, in this industry, it's difficult to always stay focused on technical stuff because you constantly hear those crazy stories of people just making insane amount of money with crypto very quickly. And so, of course, you're thinking, hey, why the hell making all this effort to be this stupid blockchain dev? I could just invest in a coin and earn so much more money. So how many Twitter posts where we hear some random dude who turned $10,000 into $1 million in a couple of months? How many YouTube videos that show you what is the next coin to buy? How many blog podcasts that tell you what is the current narrative? So we have the AI narrative, we have the meme coin narratives. Every few months there is a new narrative, and then that's supposed to be the new hot thing. And that changes all the time. It's basically infinite. The reality is that the dark truth is that the vast majority of traders lose money. Okay, so that you cannot beat statistics. It's something like 90% or 95% of traders that lose money. So it's absolutely huge. So statistically, this will be most likely you will be in the loser. I mean, I'm not saying this, to be mean or what, but that is, you cannot just fight statistics, especially if you do short-term trading. So, yeah, we always have this fantasy of making some quick money, but the reality is a little bit different. So now, now don't get me wrong, because you can make money with crypto trading and investing. So obviously, some people do manage to make money, even if it's a minority of traders. Some people are good. But you have to understand that these people are pros. I'm talking of the trader, those who buy, sell very fast. So they are not amateurs, okay? They are not just dabbling in crypto trading. That they are pros, and they do this full time, okay? They work like crazy. They are like really burnt out. They spend all they do is research coin, basically, a research trading strategy. They evaluate new strategy. They do some analysis to verify if this or this new thing works. They also have to manage their portfolio, so they have to check their existing position to see if they need to keep them or sell them. So every day they have to reevaluate like all their positions. It's a lot of work. So the question is, are you committed to being a trader? And if that's the case, then just focus on it full time, really, and just forget about blockchain development. Just be on it full time, but keep in mind that of the risk involved. You may not make any money at all. You may lose all of your money. Whereas as a blockchain dev, well, you will never make zero. You will always have some work, and usually you will have a lot of work. By the way, there is a sub-niche of blockchain development, which is a crossover between trading and programming. This is when you build trading bots. So either for yourself to make money directly, or you work for some people who will pay you to create these trading bots. And that's a very interesting part of blockchain dev. So when you hear things about like MEV, like flash loan, etc., this is this part of blockchain development. This is like a sub niche, basically. But if that's what you want to do, you have to be committed and really focus on it. But for most people, I think that trading is just a fantasy. So I think most blockchain dev that would just be better off by just doing some dollar cost averaging, DCA. So you just invest the same amount of either Bitcoin or Ethereum. You just focus on the absolute biggest one, not the small altcoins. You just do some DCA, invest the same amount every month, and that's it. And you just do this for a long time, and you wait until you make a really nice profit and you sell, which might be in a few years, in 5 years, in 10 years. But most people who do this will probably outperform a lot of the traders out there. Okay, so that's my recommendation for most of you guys, and to not spend so much time checking all this trading information unless you are committed to becoming a pro trader. But how many of you are really committed to that? Let's be serious. So that was the first mistake, to really focus too much on crypto prices, on trading. The second mistake, which is closely related, this is to over-focus on news and what's happening on social media, especially crypto Twitter. So look, blockchain and crypto move really fast. So every week you have tons of news. You have something that happened on the market, either a new coin, or maybe a new blockchain, or some new law against crypto, or some big company that is going to adopt Web3, like for example PayPal. They launched their crypto stuff. Stripe, they launched crypto checkout. There is always some update. Now, the reality is that most of it is noise, actually. And it's hard to see it at first, but most of it, when you really think about it, is it really going to impact your career directly? And it's even worse, because when you are following this very closely, not only you are wasting your time, but also you don't. It's also about what you don't do, because you don't have much time left, because you spend all this time following the news. So you don't have much time left, much energy left and you don't make any progress at all for your career. So here's my advice for about the how to stay up to date, at which frequency, etc. You really have to control the time that you spend on news. Okay, so really your time is the most scarce asset that you have. So on the one hand, yes, you do need to stay up to date, but on the other hand, you also need to control your time. So if you want to be successful, you need to create value, and to create value, you need to build something useful. And you're not going to build something useful by just consuming news. So that's why most of your time needs to be focused on building something. And so here's how you should consume social media news in an optimal way as a builder. This is my opinion. So it's much better to have a very, very specific focus. So I would separate what is highly relevant to you, like let's say smart contract security or Solidity news. That is highly relevant to you as a blockchain dev. I would separate this from general crypto news like market price action or just the latest anti-crypto law or whatever. So for what is really relevant to you, you can have a higher frequency of consumption. So for example, once a week or once a day. And for the more general news, you have a lower frequency, like once a month, once a week. And yes, I know it's hard to resist, but really, if you separate, if you optimize your consumption, your media consumption according to this, you're gonna be much more. You're gonna have a very much better productivity. So you can use a news aggregator like newsletter, for example, so that you don't have to waste your time to get too much into the detail. And you can have a specific time and duration at which you consume this news. So for example, you say, okay, you know what, every day at 6 p.m., I'm going to give myself 30 minutes, okay? And the rest of the day, you just don't stay on Twitter. You don't constantly refresh CoinMarketCap. Okay? It's really going to kill your productivity, okay? So yeah, so like I would say that's probably like the biggest killer for productivity for blockchain dev. Okay, so now the next mistake I want to talk about is choosing the wrong blockchain or the wrong ecosystem. So we have an avalanche of news every day. What's happened is that we have some legit project like Ethereum, etc. Some legit projects that are launched, and then many people want to basically are inspired by that and want to do the same thing. So either they launch a real innovation or they launch just a copycat. And guess what? Most of these other blockchain, they are not really innovation. They are just some copycat, which is some minor innovation, just some marketing slapped on top of it, and that's it. But a lot of newbie in the space, they don't realize this. They are really tricked by the marketing, and so they are always on my channel, I have comments like, hey, Julian, like, okay, what about this blockchain? What about this project? You know, I feel embarrassed because a lot of the time I have no idea what they're talking about. Do you know such thing? And I'm like, no, guys, we don't care. Okay, I've never heard this project. The job market for this technology is absolutely zero. And actually, in a lot of cases, what you think is a new technology is just Ethereum, just rebranded in a different way. Or if it's not Ethereum, like Solana, usually it's not a real blockchain. It's like a database, and was just like a small community that usually it's very vocal. So like for example, Solana, this is a community where on Twitter, like they are super active and they will really attack you if you're not a Solana guy. And this is true for many crypto communities. So I can understand as a newbie how you can be very, very confused. But so this is something I repeat all the time, but I need to repeat it again. Just pick Ethereum. That's the number one ecosystem. Most of the opportunities are there, and just ignore all the rest. It's gonna pay off way more to be very good at this in this ecosystem, not just to know a little bit of many different ecosystems. Like me personally, I was so lucky to find Ethereum early in my career. I remember I found a landing page that was sometime in 2016, and at that time, you know, they didn't have, they were not as developed as they are now. So everything was just so basic. Their landing page was quite shitty, honestly, but I really resonated with their message. They were saying that they want to build this the world decentralized computer. So I thought that was cool. But I was lucky because I could have been scammed. It just happened that it was the first landing page I found, and I stick to it, and that's it. So I really recommend you to do the same thing. So the next error mistake that I see from blockchain developer is to be a jack of all trades. So because once again, because crypto is so large, because there's so many things, it's very easy to be scattered and to try to learn everything. So a lot of people they know a little bit about many things, which to a certain extent you need to, because to do many things you often need a little bit of knowledge about different things. But at some point where you really sell yourself is when you have a deep expertise in something. Otherwise you cannot really stand out. So you need to have a specialization in something, even though you also need to have a broad skill set. So it's like broad plus deep in one thing in particular. Also, when you learn too many different things, this is very inefficient for learning, because sometimes you tend to relearn the same thing over and over. So, for example, let's say that we're talking of two programming language for smart contract, Viper and Solidity. Is it useful to know two programming languages for that? Well, not really, because we're doing the same thing. However, if I tell you, okay, well, now you're going to learn Solidity plus, let's say, Ethers, which is a library for the front end, well, now this is useful because now you can do two different things. So I don't recommend to learn basically different ways to do the same thing, basically. So you will be also another problem if you learn too many different things is that it's easy to feel really overwhelmed and just very confused. So another reason not to do that. It's also way easier to have a burnout. Okay, I know myself, I really suffer from that. As a crypto, as a blockchain YouTuber, I often have to study many different things. And when I feel burnout is when I study too many different things. I don't burn out if I try to go really deep in the same topic. Because when you go really deep in the same topic, you really have this sense of mastery that really give you confidence. So this is why in our bootcamp, we just focus on Solidity, because we want to give our students this feeling of confidence, of fulfillment that you don't get if you study too many different things. So yeah, the message is a little bit subtle here. Yes, you do need to have a broad skill set, but just to know a little bit about different things. But one thing you need to know a lot, and me, I always recommend to know a lot about Solidity, because that's the one skill that is in very, very high demand in the space. Okay, so that was it for this mistake, basically to be a jack of all trade. Okay, a little bit of an exception here. If you work with small project, in general, they will value more if you have a really wide skill set. And as you go for project who have more money, usually they will value more specialists. Okay, so little caveat. Next mistake is to be too naive. Okay, and this is a mistake that I've done a long time in this. I'm quite naive myself, so I had to learn this the hard way. But basically, the key phrase you need to learn here is don't trust, verify. Okay, that's a famous phrase in crypto, and this is valid for everything. So this is valid for the code. And this is also valid for the people. So the code. Don't trust that a smart contract does what it claims to do. Because I can show you the Solidity code of my smart contract and I tell you, hey, yeah, check out my smart contract. If you go at this address, this smart contract does this. But guess what? There is no guarantee at all that the code actually deployed there actually does this. So The only guarantee you have is if you go on Etherscan, they have a mechanism to make sure that the code of an address is really what it claims to be. So only trust smart contracts that were verified on Etherscan. Otherwise, you have absolutely no ID. You should always like have this stat. Okay, is this really this code that is running there? And even if this is the actual code that is running in this address, then you have to actually read it carefully to see what it actually does, because sometimes you have some scam. And actually on EdoBlocks, I've debunked one of these scams. So I've done a video where I analyze one of these scamish a video that you see on YouTube about flash loan. So flash loan by itself, this is not a scam, but a lot of people. Some people, they created some fake trading bot for flash loan that actually steal your money. And so if you just read the code rapidly, it looks like it's doing something smart, but actually this is a scam. So yeah, don't trust. Verify. This is valid for the code, and this is also valid for people. So for example, be very careful with customers and companies in the space, because unfortunately, even though this is a space with a lot of opportunities, it also tends to attract scammers. And so unfortunately, we also see some scammer in the customers. So recently there is a wave of scam on LinkedIn. Actually, pretty much every week I see one of these. Someone send me a DM, and basically they say, oh, like we found, are you interested to be our blockchain dev for this project, blah, blah, blah. Then they give you some homework assignment. You download the code, you need to run the script, and guess what? This is a malware that is in this script that is going to steal all your crypto, or they install some sort of keylogger. So now, when you talk to a potential customer in crypto, unfortunately you have to verify them also. So you can ask them some question like, okay, can I know what's the name of your company? Where are you incorporated? Do you have a registration number? And actually you can verify this because there are some public registry that for example, if they tell you, oh, I don't know, we're incorporated in Florida or whatever, cool, man, what's your registration number? Oh, okay, let me check this. So try to be do some due diligence for customer. Also, when you negotiate some term with a customer or a company, be really clear with the payment terms. Like when are you going to pay me, etc. Just don't be naive on this. Be really careful if they are not transparent. If they don't really want to give you their identity, etc. So I know there are some projects that operate anonymously and that are still legit, because some people really care about privacy. But the problem is that by itself, I would say that's a negative signal. Okay, it doesn't mean 100% of those anonymous projects are scam, but me definitely I will take it as a negative thing by itself. Okay. So next mistake in blockchain. Oh yeah, and just to finish on this mistake of being too naive, just know that in general, as a blockchain dev, you will be more, you are a target, because people think, if you're a blockchain dev, they think that you have a lot of crypto and that you are really rich. It doesn't have to be the case, but this is what people think. So in general, you are considered as a target. So you have to know that. Now another thing to know is, another mistake is to ignore the law. Okay, so as developer in general, we don't really, it's not that, I mean, we respect the law of course, but we don't really we can do whatever we want. This is not a regulated industry. Okay, like if you put the wrong color of CSS on the front end, it doesn't matter, right? You do whatever you want. And this is really what I love about software dev. It's like everybody can do it, no regulation, no anything. But here's the problem is, because one of the main application of blockchain is finance, with DeFi, decentralized finance. While DeFi itself doesn't have a regulation, finance, not yet at least, traditional finance has a lot of regulation. And what happened is that sometimes those regulations can also apply to a part of DeFi. And this is where it can cause problems. So, for example, you need to know what is a security. A security, this is a financial instrument where people can expect to make a profit. In very simplified, slightly more complex than that, there's something called the Howey test, where that help you to determine if something is a security. But the fact is, a lot of assets in crypto are considered security. And basically, the US really care about all those laws. They are the leader in all the laws about finance. And of course, this is related to their dominance with the US dollar. So the problem is to do unregistered sales of security. This is a big no-no. Like if you do an unregistered sale of security to US investor, you can get in trouble. Another problem is if you operate an exchange. It requires a license. You cannot, if it's a decentralized exchange, that's different. But centralized exchange, yes. Ignoring know your customer rules, so those are some rules that forces you to get some information from customer. If you don't, so if this is on the blockchain, usually there is no KYC, but anything centralized, usually you have to know who you're dealing with. Otherwise, you can be accused of doing some money laundering. You also have to be aware of something called cross-border laws. So there is a principle in the U.S. law which is called extraterritoriality of the law. Oh, that's a tough one. Well, basically it means that the U.S. is so powerful that they consider their law applies anywhere on the planet, even though you're not a U.S. resident. So don't think because you don't live in the U.S. you're protected from that. So my advice is, first of all, as an employee, in general, you should be fine. Still, it's important to know those rules because maybe you'll be in a project where you can have a feeling that they're not doing things right, and so that can be useful to know about this. As a founder, there's always more risk. This is where you really have to know these things. I would say try to avoid to get involved in privacy stuff, especially privacy and transaction. Like if you develop a sort of system like Tornado Cash where you can do private transaction, that's where you get in the danger zone where there will be absolutely zero tolerance. Doing exchanges, doing anything that has to do with centralized exchanges, that's you enter the danger zone. Doing an ICO yourself, you enter the danger zone, especially if you are in the US, but not only. But I'm guessing most of you will be employees, so you won't be directly concerned about these things. But it's still it's important to just to have some knowledge about this. All right, so another mistake for blockchain dev, and I know it sounds crazy to say this, but is to have a poor understanding of the blockchain. Yes, because we kind of separate blockchain dev in two parts: blockchain core dev that actually build the blockchain itself, and blockchain application dev. So on this channel, this is what we do: blockchain application dev, where we build application on top of the blockchain. And actually, this is 90% of it is really web dev. Let's be honest, web dev, and then knowing how to write a smart contract. But the blockchain protocol itself, since we are just a user of it, but we don't actually build it ourselves, it's tempting to just skip completely how it works because maybe this is not the most interesting thing. So you have some aspiring blockchain dev that actually don't understand how a freaking blockchain work. And I've done a lot of interviews here for Eat the Block. I often hire, for example, a bootcamp instructor or just different developers, and I'm really shocked that a lot of time people say they've been developed blockchain dev for 1-2 years, and then I ask them, okay, explain me what is a blockchain, how does it work, can you tell me the different consensus algorithm, proof of work, proof of stake, what is the architecture of a blockchain, what is the data structure on the blockchain. So explain me what is in a block, what is in a transaction, explain me the account system. and they are just completely incapable of telling me all those stuff. So you need to know the blockchain core technology. Um, Absolutely. Okay, so yeah, that was this big mistake. So having a poor understanding of the blockchain technology. So the next big mistake. So now we're gonna keep going in the technical mistakes. Is to not test your smart contract. So there are many aspiring blockchain dev that just write the code of their contract, and that's it. No test. So if you are coming from a background of, let's say, web developments, I can understand, because in web dev usually we don't really like testing things. we just often we just test in production, and that's it. And test can be seen as like a good practice but not required. In blockchain, this is not the case at all. Don't do that, because once you deploy a contract, you cannot change the code. And on top of it, a contract manipulates money. So can you imagine if you have a bug where basically people, the money will be lost basically because of a bug, or there is some security vulnerability? It's really bad, because not only the money will be stolen, but there's nothing you can do about it. You're going to be like a silent witness of the drama, and there's nothing you can do about it. So this is like for hardware, device, mobile phone. They have some low level code, and this code, once it has been shipped, this is not possible to change it. So these guys, they also have to test their code before shipping. Same logic with smart contract. So there is a way to test all the code of your smart contract by writing a test file, by using a framework like Foundry, for example. And this is absolutely required, and you need to have 100% coverage, meaning that all the line of code in Solidity are covered by the test. And usually the test is going to be bigger than the smart contract, and it's actually going to take you more time to test it. The test is going to be more complex than the code of the smart contract. Sometimes you write some code in the smart contract and then you don't know how to test it, because that's the testing logic is a little bit different. Fortunately, with Foundry, this framework that I mentioned, they give you a lot of tooling, some utilities that you can use to easily test your contract, but it just takes some learning. So absolutely not optional. And also, there is a whole procedure before you test, you deploy to production. There is an intermediate step which is called public testnet, where basically you deploy in a public network that is supposed to be a copy of mainnet, but not really. And so you deploy first to testnet, make sure it works there, and only after you deploy to prod. So there is a whole testing process that you need to learn. Okay, so next big mistake is not knowing about security. So there are some beginner smart contract dev that they think that you have smart contract developers, and then you have the security auditors, and that's completely different, and they will find out about all the security vulnerability, etc. Nope. Increasingly, what we see is that smart contract dev needs to be also more and more knowledgeable about security. So first of all, because you're going to reduce the work of the smart contract auditor that will check your code. And also, what if they miss something? It's possible that they don't see some bugs. So if you already have some knowledge, you will know better design pattern, and so by default there will be less bugs. So that will always be better. And also, when you do technical interviews for smart contract development, they will not just ask you about Solidity. They will also ask you about security. So what you need to understand is the main security vulnerability that exists. So there is basically some list that you can find online, and you need to know them. And you don't necessarily need to know how to do a full audit of a smart contract, but you need to know the main security vulnerability so that you can avoid them in your smart contract. Okay, so for the next big mistake as a blockchain dev is not posting on social media. So I know that this is very controversial. Some people just say, oh, just focus on your technical skills, blah, blah, blah. Be so good they cannot ignore you, blah, blah, blah. Well, my friends, I'm sorry to tell you this, but it doesn't work like that. I wish it worked like that. It'd be, it would be very, it would be much easier, but that's not the case. Me, for example, when I started, I started in 2017, I went on social media right away, and in just 3 freaking months, I went from being a complete nobody knew me to like a movie star. Like everybody was sending me messages on LinkedIn. Absolutely insane. And I know many people like this. So of course, if it should not be either. If you have no technical skills, it's not going to work because you just have the marketing. But after once, let's say you get the job and then they're going to fire you in 1 week. So of course you need to have both. But they finally need to have this so that you have a better visibility. You also have more networking opportunities when you do this. It's also great to do this, to be active on social media, because that will force you to explain what you've learned. That will force you also to engage with the technology so that you have something to talk about. Let's say there is a new smart contract that comes out and you find something interesting about it, so you can talk about it. This is generally what I call personal branding. So this is really something that you have to do continuously. And it's valid no matter if you want to work for somebody or if you're launching your own project. In both cases, this is really pretty much required. The industry is very present on social media, especially on Twitter. Then the last mistake that I want to talk about is bad key management. So basically, so as a smart contract developer, you will manipulate private keys that will allow you to deploy smart contract, and there's so many mistakes that you can do. And we are not trained as professional. There is a whole procedure that you need to follow, and the problem is nobody explained us how to do this. So by default, we suck. We suck at security. We suck at private key management. So first of all, first mistake to not do is to store a private key on GitHub. Okay, so I know we can create private repo on GitHub and only you can find it, but look, this is so easy to make a mistake and to make the repo public by mistake. Or what if your GitHub account is hacked? Well, then all your private repo they will be accessible by the hackers. So not a great idea. So yeah, no private key on GitHub, and so make sure that you don't commit any private key there. Then another mistake is to become confused between a development and a production wallet. So typically, when we do development, we use a lot of addresses where we have some testnet ether, so basically some fake ether that we use for testing. And the problem is when we use the same software for production and development account. So let's say you have MetaMask and you have some production account, and then for testing you add you add an account for testing, and then 1 month, 2 months later you forget about this, and then you try to do some maybe you send some crypto to your real account, or maybe you do a deployment using the wrong address. And this happened to me actually. I sent some ether to an account on MetaMask that I actually used for development, so everybody knows what is this private key. This is actually one of the private key used in Foundry. So this is the same private key for everybody. as soon as I send some ether, so I send like maybe the equivalent of maybe $50, and I see transaction mined. Okay, cool. And then I see my balance is still zero. I'm like, what's the hell is happening here? And then I check on Etherscan. Someone, just after I send the money, someone sent a transaction from this address to his address. So that was basically a bot that was just waiting for me to do the same mistake. And I saw that I wasn't the first one. Actually, this guy already stole a lot of money from other unsuspecting dev like me who made the same mistake. And the guy made like $10,000 but in really like an easy and stupid way. So yeah, very easy to get confused between development and production wallet. So another typical mistake is to back up the private key, production private key on a text file on your computer. Terrible idea, because if there is any keylogger on your computer or any sort of hack of malware, then they will easily see a private key. Another mistake is to use a software wallet instead of a hardware wallet for production deployment. A hardware wallet, this is pretty much impossible to hack it. But a software wallet, this is much easier. I'm not saying that it will happen, but definitely much easier. Hardware wallet, I don't see how they can hack it really. So my advice in terms of private key management is basically to do all the production deployment using a hardware wallet. So physically something separate from your computer. If you have a dedicated machine to do it, it's even better. So it can be a cheap laptop, let's say your previous laptop, and you only send crypto transaction from there. You don't do any browsing on the internet. You just access your crypto, and maybe you access your bank account, but that's it. So the risk of being infected by a malware will be very small there. So that's really the optimal thing you can do. All right. Let me see the chat. So Paul, should I go work for an audit company? Well, if you're interested in smart contract security, yes. So it might be a little bit difficult to find a position as a beginner if you haven't done anything yet. So the easiest is to first do some bug bounty yourself, or try to do some audit on a pro bono basis. So you find basically some small protocol that maybe don't have a lot of budget, and you do a free audit for them, and little by little you will build your credibility. THX, hey man, Paul, I really like Solidity. I've been programming forever. Yeah, Solidity, great language. All right, so what else? Paul is saying I build on Pulse chain. Oh yeah, careful. So actually, I don't know Pulse chain. If this is EVM based, at least you're not wasting your time, because as long as you build your skill on Ethereum on the EVM blockchain, that's fine. This is transportable. But if this is another tech, then yeah, not great. Love your content. Thanks, man. Digo, you are the good Julian. Oh, thanks so much. All right. Is DeFi a superset of NFT? No, that's separate. NFT is another use case. Okay. AV, what do you think of ERC 404? Will it carry into ERC 1155? I haven't looked a lot at this standard. What are you working on nowadays? So yeah, that's a great question. So, well, I don't know if you guys noticed, but every week now we do a coding live stream. So Wednesday I try to do something about career, like some event on the market, and then Thursday usually we do a coding tutorial. And so yeah, I spend quite some time to build this tutorial. I try to do some cool apps. So this is what I do. But beside this, this year I'm also really interested in building some apps and more like in the indie hacker mode, like some building some small thing that doesn't require any outside investment, and that can be profitable from day one. So I've been thinking really that probably the best opportunities are in in trading, basically. I mean, as a builder, I'm not saying doing the trading directly, but building tools for trader. Because I think right now, let's be honest, this is the number one use case for the blockchain. So let's let's stop to let's not lie to ourselves. This is the truth. As much as we want blockchain to be more than just gambling and trading, right now this is mostly about this. So, and me, I want to do apps that people actually use. So I've been thinking of doing some app for traders or for token creation. I need to think about it, but this is one possibility. And another project I'm working on is an app to learn Solidity. So that's super interesting. I will give more information when I make progress there. But basically, beside all the education work that I'm doing, now I really also look forward to do my own apps. Yeah. So that was a long answer to your short question. Okay, so let me see. AV, what is the minimum set of code that you want to see in your contract to prevent potential successful attack? Are there specific function you like? Yeah, so it's more about knowing some typical typical security vulnerability. There are some pattern, there are some bad pattern that you need to avoid, and there are also some good pattern that prevent those problems. Like, for example, one of them is the check effect interaction pattern. And in the Solidity bootcamp of Eat the Blocks, we cover all of this, of course. So you need to know about all of these patterns in order to write safe smart contracts. Right. Rich Ape. Bro, I lost 50K to hacks. It's wild. Wow, man, that sucks. Yeah, be careful out there. Nathan, need your guidance launching my meme coin. I would be grateful if you can collab or just guide me, sir. Yeah, so before someone was asking me if I was working on any kind of project for myself. So basically, I see two. Apart from this app to learn how to code Solidity, when I think about what I could do for traders, I see two things. Either some sort of trading bot, or another possibility is something for tokens, some sort of tools to create token or a service. So I need to think about it, but yeah, I'm really thinking of doing this because I see so much demand in the space. I know that there are some tools that are making an insane amount of money doing this. Like, I don't know if you heard about this thing called pump.fun. There was a screenshot shared on Twitter, and that's insane. Like, these guys are just printing like freaking millions per month. And when you see the app, it's like a freaking joke. Like, I mean, it looks like it was made by 4 years old. It's like the functionality is there, but wow, I'm really impressed. So I think right now there is a lot of opportunity in like the tooling for creating tokens. All right. Let me see what we have out there. Some jobs ask you to install a program. That program steals your private keys and your crypto. Be very careful. Yes, that really sucks. Rich Ape, I felt victim to it, man. Sorry about this. Okay. Beams, I'm thinking of building something on TON blockchain. What are your thoughts? I've never heard of TON blockchain. But it's possible that there are some users there. Just make sure this is based on the EVM, okay? Like, don't go and learn some new tech on some obscure blockchain where you cannot use these skills after, okay? Then What else do we have? No, no, no. Rick, 2024 roadmap for someone starting on blockchain dev. Yeah, so I mentioned this at the beginning of the stream. So eattheblogs.com/roadmap. I just shared this in the chat. Yeah, this is a free training. This is exactly what you're asking. AV, thanks you for doing this live event. You're awesome. Yeah, thanks, man. All right, Lee Thibault, Julian, could you do an ERC 4337 account abstraction dApp with email logging? Maybe keep your phone safer than MetaMask. Yeah, so account abstraction, that's an ERC 4337. Last year it got really trendy at some point. We haven't heard so much about it, but it might be the future of wallets, because basically the UX is much better. So you're asking me, should I do a tutorial about this? Well, maybe that's a good idea, man. Why not? All right. ZXYI is asking, what about creating a dApp to do an ICO? Yeah, so that's basically what we call a launchpad. Okay, so what I mentioned before, a pump.fund, that's basically a launchpad, but there are many of them. Each launchpad has its own distribution mechanism, but one of them can be ICO. But you need to identify carefully your market, because there is a big part of the world that basically will not do ICO. Okay, especially everything sort of connected to what I would call, let's say, the Western countries. They will not, like, these people will not do ICO. Anything related to the BRICS, where it's more independent from the law of the US. Maybe there is a market for ICO here. I know someone in Russia that is a French guy that lived there, and I talked to him, and he was doing some ICO from there. And he wasn't scared at all of being extradited to the U.S., of course, because with what's going on, it's never going to happen. So, but generally speaking, you try to be careful with ICO, because that's you can get in trouble. But as someone who built the tooling, that's different, though. You're not the person actually doing the ICO, so you're a little bit more protected, I think. Okay, so Ton blockchain is gonna be huge according to Rich Ape. All right, I need to check that. I don't know this blockchain. All right, do you have blockchain smart contract courses online that you would recommend? So you can check on my channel. I have many. Actually, I did a full course. Check out. Maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, I think I did a full course on blockchain or on Solidity. So yeah, you can get started with this, and then if you want to go deeper, you can check out my Solidity bootcamp. Okay, so we should just get deep in the Golang and build an MEV. Yeah, so Golang is great for building trading bot. True. Because this is very fast. Okay, so I guess let me see. We still have something in the chat. AV, are tokens better than coins in terms of regulation? There's no difference. It's basically two words that mean the same thing. So yeah, like from the moment your people are expecting to make money with a token, that's basically a security. So yeah, basically most crypto assets are security. Okay, guys, so I think that's gonna be it for today. So I'm gonna see you again tomorrow, where we're gonna do a coding tutorial. And yeah, so come tomorrow then. All right, thanks for coming today. Have a good day, everybody. Bye.